Here in this video I am going to answer the questions of the assertion reason that I provided in the shorts. So the first question is assertion. Larynx is a cartilaginous box which helps in sound production. So this statement is true. We know larynx is a cartilaginous box and it is also known as sound box. Okay, so this statement is true, and the reason is epiglottis flap covers the glottis during swallowing and prevents the entry of the food into the larynx. Yeah, this statement is also correct. We know epiglottis flap is there just at the beginning of the windpipe so that the food does not enter into the windpipe. Okay, so these statements are true, but here the reason is not the correct explanation of assertion, because larynx and epiglottis flap both are different things, totally different things. Okay, larynx is the voice box or sound box that helps in producing sound. Okay, voice box or sound box that helps in producing sound, but epiglottis flap covers the glottis. It is a flap that prevents the entry of the food. That means it provides a barrier, okay, that do not allows the food to enter into the larynx. Okay, they are totally different things and their functions are also different. Okay, so here the option 2 will be correct. Okay, that is okay. In assertion reason questions, normally there are 4 options: A, B, C and D. Okay, these are the 4 options. In option A, it is written that if both assertion and reason are true and reason is the correct explanation of assertion, then we will mark option A. But here the reason is not the correct explanation of assertion. In the first question that we are doing now, here the reason is not the correct explanation of assertion. So we will mark option B as the answer. Okay, because here it is written reason is not the correct explanation of assertion. Okay, so option 2 is the answer of the first question. Then the next question is the question number 2 is assertion. The anatomical setup of lungs in the thorax is such that any change in the volume of the thoracic cavity will be reflected in the lung cavity. Okay, lung cavity, we know it only consists of the lungs, and thoracic cavity consists of the ribs, then sternum, then vertebral column. Okay, all these things the thoracic cavity contains, and the lung cavity means only lungs will be there. Okay, that is the pulmonary cavity. So the anatomical setup in our lungs in the thorax is such that whenever there is any change in the volume of the thoracic cavity, that means when the lungs are inflated, okay, they are when the lungs are in inflated condition, then the thoracic cavity, the volume of the thoracic cavity also increases, because at that time the ribs, the sternum, all are lifted up. Okay, so change in one will cause the change in volume of the other. Okay, so this statement is correct. So this statement is true, and let's read the reason that then lungs have no muscles, so we cannot directly alter the pulmonary volume. Okay, this statement is also true. Lungs have no muscles, we know lungs do not have any muscles, and so we cannot directly alter the pulmonary volume. Directly it cannot be altered. Okay. The pressure difference causes the alteration of the pulmonary volume. So both the statements are correct, and but here the reason is not the correct explanation of assertion. In the assertion, here they have written about the interrelation between thoracic cavity, change in the volume of the thoracic cavity, and the volume of the lung cavity. Okay, so we should explain the reason for that. Okay, why they are interrelated, why the change in the volume of thoracic cavity and the change in volume of the lung cavity are interrelated, why they do not happen independently. But the reason here that is written is about only pulmonary volume. The reason that is written here explains why pulmonary volume does not change directly. Okay, so that's why we cannot say that this is the reason for the statement, above statement. Okay, we cannot say that this is the correct reason for the above statement. So here the option will be option 2, because in option 2 B is there, and B means if both assertion and reason are true, then but reason is not the correct explanation of assertion. Okay, so option 2 is the correct answer. Okay, I hope you are understanding these questions, and if you don't understand, please repeat the video again and again. Okay, repeat, just pause and again go to the beginning and see, then only you will understand these statements. Okay, assertion: inspiration can occur only if intrapulmonary pressure is less than the atmospheric pressure. Yes, this statement is correct. Okay, because we know when the intrapulmonary pressure is less and the outside atmospheric pressure is greater, then air will enter. Okay, air will enter from atmosphere, oxygen will be entering from atmosphere to the lungs. Okay, because there should be a pressure difference, then only there will be movement of air in and out. Okay, if pressure difference will not be there, then no movement of air will be there. So inspiration can occur if intrapulmonary pressure is less than the atmospheric pressure. Okay, so this statement is true. Okay, if for inspiration, outside atmospheric pressure should be high and inside atmospheric pressure should be low, then only air will flow from high pressure to low pressure. Then reason for this: inspiration is initiated by the relaxation of diaphragm and the external intercostal muscles. This statement is wrong, because during inspiration, contraction of diaphragm and external intercostal muscles takes place. So this statement is wrong, and therefore let's see the options. See here, I am showing you directly the options. Option C, it is written that if assertion is true but reason is false. Okay, so in this case, see here, assertion is true but reason is false. Okay, so option C will be the answer. That means option 3 will be the answer. Then the next question here, assertion: the volume of air a person can expire after normal inspiration is TV plus ERV. Okay, so after normal expiration, after normal inspiration. Okay, after normal inspiration, if we inspire normally, after that how much air we can expire? See, normally we expire TV, but here it is not said that after normal inspiration what is the volume of normal expiration. Okay, it is not said. it is said that the maximum volume of air that we can expire after normal inspiration. See here, after normal inspiration, the maximum volume of air that we can expire is TV plus ERV. Okay, it is true because TV in normal expiration, TV is the value of normal expiration. Okay, TV is the value of normal expiration, and ERV is the additional volume of air that is expired. Okay, additional volume of air that is expired. So this thing is the maximum volume of air that a person can expire. Maximum volume of air a person can expire after normal inspiration. Okay, after normal inspiration we know, breathing in, this whole thing, TV plus ERV, this whole thing is the normal volume of maximum volume of air that a person can expire after normal inspiration. Okay, so this statement is correct. Assertion here, it is correct. Then reason, volume of air that will remain in the lungs after normal expiration is ERV plus RVC. After maximum expiration, the volume of air that remains in the lungs is RV. Okay, now after normal expiration, what will be remaining? Okay, after maximum expiration, that is after this, means TV and ERV. Okay, after this thing, what is left in the lungs? That is RV, residual volume. Okay, and after normal expiration, that means maximum expiration has not taken place. When maximum expiration has not taken place, at that time, what will be remaining in the lungs? Okay, what will be remaining in the lungs? Say the one that should be left during maximum expiration, that is going to be there in the lungs. Okay, because that is not expired out. Okay, that means ERV will be there. Okay, TV, it is going out. TV is the normal expiration is happening, that means TV is going out, and ERV will be remaining in the lungs plus RV. RV will always be there in the lungs. Okay, that is the residual volume, or else the lungs will collapse. Okay, residual volume that will be present in the lungs always. After maximum expiration, residual volume will be present in the lungs. But when maximum expiration has not taken place, then ERV will also be there in the lungs. Then where it will go? Okay, see here, another thing that we can understand here, in the another way we can understand this, that is, this is the thing for maximum expiration. Okay, maximum volume of air a person can expire. Okay, so this is maximum volume, maximum expiration I am writing. Okay, see here, see, TV plus ERV, maximum expiration, the airs that are coming out during maximum expiration. If maximum expiration is not taking place, then what will come out? Only TV. TV is for normal expiration, okay, normally that we expire and that we don't notice also while expiring, okay. So that is TV, okay. So during normal expiration only TV is coming out and ERV will be remaining at that time during normal expiration. Here ERV will be in lungs only, and RV, that is though always in lungs. RV is always in lungs. RV. Here I am talking about air, okay. What is there, will be there in lungs, always there in lungs. These all are air, okay. And here ERV and RV. ERV is, what is ERV? Say, ERV is expiratory reserve volume, okay. So these are going to be there in lungs. So in the reason part it is said that volume of air that will remain in the lungs after normal expiration. So these are the volume that are going to remain in lungs. These two are the volume that are going to remain in lungs after normal expiration. So this statement is also true, but here the reason is not the correct explanation of assertion because these two statements are not related at all, okay. There is no relation between these statements. See here we are talking about maximum expiration and here we are talking about normal expiration. So how can there any difference be there, okay. So here the answer will be option 2, okay. We know what is there in option 2. Again we will see. In option 2 B is there, and if both assertion and reason are true but reason is not the correct explanation of assertion, then we mark option B, okay. So in fifth question, in the assertion it is written that the amount of carbon dioxide that can diffuse through the diffusion membrane per unit difference in partial pressure is much higher compared to that of O2. Yeah, it is correct. Diffusion of carbon dioxide is greater than O2, okay. Remember this. And why? In the reason part it is written that the solubility of CO2 is 20 to 25 times higher than that of O2 solubility. Yeah, this statement is also correct, and here it is explaining this statement, okay. It is explaining this statement. Due to the greater solubility of carbon dioxide than O2, therefore the diffusion of carbon dioxide through the diffusion membrane is greater than that of oxygen, okay. So here option 1 will be the answer because in option 1 A is there, and A means if both assertion and reason are true. See here, A means if both assertion and reason are true and the reason is the correct explanation of the assertion, okay, then we will mark option A. Then the sixth question, assertion in the tissue, high PO2 that is partial pressure of O2, low PCO2 that is partial pressure of CO2, and higher H plus concentration conditions are favorable for dissociation of oxygen from oxyhemoglobin, okay. Here this statement is wrong because in the tissue partial pressure of carbon dioxide is high, that means PCO2 will be high, okay. This statement is wrong. PCO2 will be high and PO2 will be low, okay. So this statement is wrong. Higher H plus concentration, this is correct. So in this statement what are wrong? I am just marking that this part is wrong because here low PO2 will be there, okay, and here PCO2 will be high, okay. So this part is wrong, and higher H plus concentration, this part is right, okay. This part is right. conditions are favorable for dissociation of oxygen from the oxyhemoglobin. Okay, so these parts are wrong. And in the reason part it is written that every 100 milliliter of oxygenated blood can deliver around 500 milliliter of O2 to the tissues under normal physiological conditions. 5 milliliter. Okay, this statement is also wrong because it is not 5 milliliter, it is 4 milliliter. Okay, this statement is also wrong. So here let's see the options once. If both assertion and reason are false, then we will mark option D as the answer. So option 4 is the answer. So here in the sixth question, the reason part is, the statement is true, but in the options here no such option is given. Okay, in the first option it is said that both assertion and reason are true, but we cannot mark this because here assertion is wrong. Then in the second option also both assertion and reason are true, so we cannot take the second option also. And in the third option it is given that assertion is true but reason is false. Here assertion is false. Okay, so we have to take the last option only. Okay, in the reason part the statement is correct. Okay, so as such options are not there, so we are taking option D, that is fourth one we are taking. Okay, so these were all the questions. This was all for today, and if you like this video, please like, share, comment and subscribe to support this channel. Thank you.